Hello class, welcome to public administration classes. So yesterday we studied about Max Weber. Okay, yesterday what we studied about the concepts of bureaucracy, the characteristics of bureaucracy, the environmental factors which were responsible for the origin of bureaucracy, especially in the context of Germany, right? After that we saw how Weber in his book Theory of Economics and Social Organization describes the positive aspect of bureaucracy as well as the negative aspects of bureaucracy. Okay? After that, he also gives some arguments about how to tackle the negative aspects of bureaucracy, some strategies such as direct democracy, okay? Lateral entry, that is temporary form of bureaucracy. Some techniques Max Weber has argued for tackling the negative aspects of bureaucracy, right? After that we ended our lecture yesterday. Okay, so today what we are going to see, in continuing that aspect, we are going to see the criticism of the concept given by Max Weber, that is criticism of ideal bureaucracy. Okay, and if time permits today, then after that we are going to jump into another thinker. The name is Mary Parker Follett, very famous for dynamic administration. The idea of Mary Parker Follett is very, very revolutionary and very important, especially these days. They have become very, very relevant, especially in today's new era, 21st century. How is that? When we are studying Mary Parker Follett, we are going to see that, right? But before that, we will see some criticisms of ideal bureaucracy. These criticisms are very important. Please ensure that whatever I am teaching you today, these criticisms, I will actually guide you the criticism in the form of thinker. Okay, we will take 6 or 7 thinkers and we will see how they criticize Max Weber idea of bureaucracy. But always remember one thing, this arrangement of thinkers I have done as per the perspective of the exam. Okay, always remember that, because in BPSC, in UPPCS, either in UPSC, these thinkers quote has been asked as a criticism of ideal bureaucracy. Either names, directly by name UPSC has asked this aspect, or just by quoting their statements, right? So let's start today's lecture. So when we say criticism of ideal bureaucracy, so there are some thinkers, there are some thinkers who are called as dysfunctional theorists. Okay, who are called what? Dysfunctional theorists. Who are called as dysfunctional theorist. What is this dysfunctional? See, dysfunctional simply means, okay, anything which cannot work, anything which is not functional, not properly functional. Okay, so in exam, whenever this word is coming, dysfunctional theorist, okay, so always remember this dysfunctional theorist mean the question is talking about those thinkers who have given criticism to ideal bureaucracy. Okay, and when we talk about dysfunctional theorist, okay, it means we are covering First, number one, Robert Merton. Views of Robert Merton. Okay. Second, we are covering Peter Drucker. These are some of the thinkers who have criticized ideal bureaucracy. We are talking about Philip Selznick. We are talking about Alvin Goldner. Okay? Right? So, in any question, either in state PCS exam, either in UPSC exam, if the question is coming on the basis of this functional theorist, you should not get confused. Rather, you should know the question is talking about Robert Merton, Peter Drucker, Philip Selznick and Alvin Goldner in the context of criticism of ideal bureaucracy. Right? Okay? So one by one, what we are going to do? First, we will see the views of Robert Merton, then Peter Drucker, then Selznick, then Alvin Goldner. After that, one or two more thinkers are there. They are very important thinkers. That's why I have covered them. After that, if time permits, we are going to see Mary Parker Follett. Okay? So first criticism is by Robert Merton. So Robert Merton criticizes ideal bureaucracy as a victim of its formalism. He says ideal bureaucracy is a victim of what? Is victim of its own formalism. Its own formalism. Now what is this formalism? And what is this victim? Okay? These two words you need to understand properly. Then only you are going to understand the aspect. So what he says, due to this, there is displacement of goal. Okay? Question can come on this also. Displacement of goal. Okay? How? Now, one characteristic of ideal bureaucracy is impersonal laws. Okay? One characteristic of the ideal bureaucracy which we saw in previous lecture was what? Impersonal laws. That is, they need to give more importance to rules, hierarchy. Okay? So what happens? The bureaucracy slowly and slowly becomes very, very rigid. And they are more concerned about the rules and hierarchy in the organization. For example, in India, Indian bureaucracy, take the example of Indian bureaucracy. Okay? So, Indian bureaucracy is the first major criticism of Indian bureaucracy is this only. They are very much rule and hierarchy bounded. Okay? For example, let's take, poverty alleviation schemes in our country. Had they been successful? Had they been very successful? No. Why? Because the mechanism, the institution responsible for the implementation itself is a very rigid. And who are responsible? The ideal bureaucracy, the characteristic, the Indian bureaucracy, which is nothing but a Weberian bureaucracy, is responsible? Has poverty been alleviated? No. Why? One of the major reason is inefficiency, and inefficiency in organization comes when the bureaucracy is more concerned about rules and hierarchy rather than the goal of the scheme, that is poverty alleviation. That is what Robert Merton is arguing. Okay? So this is the first criticism of ideal bureaucracy. Now we will see Peter Drucker. Okay? It's very simple. Peter Drucker says that ideal bureaucracy promotes red tapeism. So his views are actually very much like Robert Merton. Okay? The views of Peter Drucker are more or less same as Robert Merton. But still, why I have told you separately? Because I have find that since in public administration class we are going to dedicate one lecture completely on Peter Drucker, so it is easy to remember Peter Drucker rather than Robert Merton. So what you can do? You can write the idea of Robert Merton, but you can quote Peter Drucker in your answer because that is correct. Right? So, according to Peter Drucker, ideal bureaucracy promotes red tapeism, inefficiency, which are the exact words of Robert Merton. Okay? Now, let's move to third thinker and very important thinker, that is Philip Selznick. Philip Selznick actually he has done huge research in Tennessee Valley Corporation. Okay, where it is? It is one Tennessee Valley Corporation. It was a big project in USA. Okay, it was a very big project in USA. Okay, he has done some empirical studies. What is empirical studies? It means he has done some scientific based studies. Okay, and he found that after study he found that the ideal bureaucracy promotes centralization. They dislike decentralization. They are inefficient. The displacement of goal which Robert Merton argues, Philip Selznick also argues. Displacement of goal. Originally, this was argued by Robert Merton, but same thing Philip Selznick found in his studies when he studied Tennessee Valley Corporation structure of bureaucracy or ideal bureaucracy. Because see, every bureaucracy in our corporation government is based on Weberian model. So what he found, for example, let's make one structure just for the sake of understanding. Okay, now let's say this is director of Tennessee Valley Corporation. Okay, so here is one hierarchy, here is second hierarchy, here is, let's say, third hierarchy. Right? Now again, let's say these are small hierarchy. Are you able to understand? See, it's very simple. These three persons are reporting to him. He is reporting here, he is reporting here, he is reporting to top. So what Philip Selznick finds, and very interesting it is, है ना? The person sitting here at the lower level, for him, targets given by him or goals set by him are more important than goals by a director. Okay? First thing. Second, he found that even if this goal is against this main organization goal, understand, the target which he wants to meet, okay, that is sub goal, small goal. Even if this target is against the main organization goal, just as Tennessee Valley Corporation, main organization goal, he will go with sub goal rather than the organization goal. Second, third, what he found that these positions prefer centralization. These positions prefer centralization. Even person sitting at the top prefers centralization. Rather than delegating power to subordinate, they don't think that by delegating the power they will somewhat promote efficiency. Rather, they feel that this delegation is not good. So what happens? Philip Selznick argues that due to this, people forget goal, organization goals are not met, or you can say there is a displacement of goal. Okay, there is what? Displacement of goal. Remember this. This same thing is also argued by Robert Merton. Okay. Now we will move to see. These are what I am telling you in. I am telling you in very simple form. In that form in which you can write in your answer and score very good marks. Okay, so don't make it complex. Please simplify it. Because if it will be simple, then it is very obvious that you will score very good marks. Okay, and I am telling you everything thinker wise. And in public administration, whenever you are writing criticism, you should write thinker wise. You should quote that thinker, then only your answer is going to be relevant, right? Now let's move and see what Alvin Goldner has to say. Again, he conducted empirical studies. Empirical studies means scientific studies. On the basis of this, he argues about two types of bureaucracy or ideal bureaucracy in his findings, research findings. So the first type he tells her about, he has actually given very good name. First he found that in ideal bureaucratic organization there are two types of bureaucracy. First one is punishment centered bureaucracy. First one is what? Punishment centered bureaucracy. And second one he found, that is representative bureaucracy. Okay? Right? So he says that the punishment centered bureaucracy is basically found in lower levels of Weberian or ideal bureaucracy. Okay? And representative type of bureaucracy is found at the top level. Top level of what? Ideal bureaucracy. Okay? Now what he says, he argues that in ideal bureaucracy or in Weberian bureaucracy, if any problem comes, then person who is sitting as top level, he thinks that there may be some problem in rules. There is some problem in regulation. So they make more rules. What they do for solving the problem, they make more rules which is implemented, which needs to be followed by lower level bureaucracy. And this lower level bureaucracy slowly and slowly due to this start hating top level bureaucracy, because they think that rules are being imposed on them unnecessarily. Right? Let us see again. If any problem is coming in an ideal bureaucratic form, the top level bureaucracy or the representative type of bureaucracy thinks that there may be some problem in organization rules or regulation. So for solving the problem, they make more rules for lower level, which is punishment centered. They think that the top level is punishing them. So what they do, they don't want to follow the rule, they ignore the rule. So what happens? Due to this, inefficiency is promoted in organization. Inefficiency increases in organization because there is a complete de-link between top level and low level, because the human aspects are neglected in both. Okay? The human relations aspects are neglected in representative type of bureaucracy. The human aspects are neglected in the punishment centered bureaucracy. Right? Very nice and very important. Okay? Now let's move to another thinker, that is Peter and Hall, and full name is Lawrence J. Peter. If you want, you can write Lawrence J. Peter and Raymond Hall. Okay, right? What they say, very interesting. They have given one principle that is called Peter's principle. They argues that every individual in an ideal bureaucracy rise to the position where he is incompetent. It is very complex word, but I will explain you what they are trying to say. Now let us suppose here Tehsildar is there, okay? Above Tehsildar, SDM is there. Above SDM, ADM is there. Above ADM, let's say DM is there. Okay? Now, let us assume A joined as a Tahsildar in an organization. Now after 7 to 8 years of service as a Tahsildar, he became expert in doing the work at this level, that is Tahsildar level. Tahsil level for doing revenue work, sorry, he has become very expert. But what happens? The moment he become expert, he is transferred. He is promoted. He is promoted to SDM level, for which he don't have any training, he don't have any experience. So now let's assume that Mr. A performed this SDM duty for, let's say, 7 years. And in 7 years, he became trained. He became expert to handle revenue functions at subdivision level. But what happens? Rather than keeping A at this level, what happens? He is again promoted to ADM level, for which he is nor he have any training for that. Neither he knows that, neither he is having experience of that. He is having experience of SDM level for 7 years. So, this is called Peters principle. It means every individual rise to position where he is incompetent. Okay, and this same thing is known as Peters principle. Very important. It may came in exam, because in UPSC has asked this. Okay, so I hope this perspective you understood very nicely, right? Now let's move to another thinker, that is Parkinson. So what he has done? Parkinson studied colonial bureaucracy, the characteristics of colonial bureaucracy between 1936 to 1942. Basically in British India, 1954, not 42. Okay? Because he studied European bureaucracy, he studied Asian bureaucracy, and he also gave one law, that is called law of rising pyramid. Law of rising pyramid. This I have already told you, but not in the form of what Parkinson has told. I have explained you this. This law of rising pyramid. For example, let's say some scheme came for poverty alleviation. Right? Now that scheme, let's say, came in 1990. Now in 2010, if you will check, that scheme may be running. Okay? See, this Manrega we hear. Manrega in small forms was already there. Food for Work program, TRISEM, JRY. Manrega was launched after subsuming them. So if you check in 2010, poverty will still be there. But what will increase? Suppose in 1990, 80 bureaucrats were responsible for poverty alleviation or implementing those schemes related to poverty alleviation. But what will happen in 2010? You will find that these may have increased to 200. Matlab bureaucrats tend to create work for themselves like bureaucrats. है ना? Rather than increasing efficiency in organization, they tend to what? Empire building. This is another very important criticism of Weberian bureaucracy or ideal bureaucracy. Very important, and that is true also. Because, for example, let's take one example of Prime Minister Office, PMO. Prime Minister Office started by Shastri ji, Lal Bahadur Shastri. When he was Prime Minister of India, this office was started from there. But today it is the one of the biggest ministry. It was started as a very small ministry. But slowly and slowly it has become very big. Okay? So this is Parkinson's law or law of rising pyramid, very important. Now let's move to the last criticism of bureaucracy or ideal bureaucracy, that is Bentham-Dock's law. Okay? He simply argues that ideal bureaucracy is reactive rather than proactive. The best example we can take is Diwali, or let's say stubble burning in Haryana and Punjab. Now just understand, in every year in November and December, this stubble burning is going on in Haryana and Punjab, due to which Delhi air becomes very, very much polluted. But what our bureaucracy is doing? They start taking action when impacts of stubble burning start coming. Bentham is saying you are reactive. You are reactive when an activity has already happened. See, if you know in every year in November and December the problem of air pollution will come in Delhi, why not to take proactive action? Why you are waiting for the problem? Be prepared. And you can give a very good example, at least in Odisha, the disaster management aspect, they have become proactive up to some level, because due to proactiveness you will see very less damage, especially human lives, in Odisha. Right? So simply remember that when you know problem is going to come, be prepared. Rather than doing that, what ideal bureaucracy or the Indian bureaucracy, which is simply based on Weberian bureaucracy, is doing, they are simply waiting for the problem. Then they will take action, and that is not good. Okay? This is another important criticism of ideal bureaucracy, and this is the last criticism of ideal bureaucracy.